This just might be my favorite video that I've done to date. Because today we're going to talk about the one agent out of 10 that actually survives their first 5 years of being in the real estate business. In fact, for every 4 agents that come into the real estate industry, after year one, only one remains. So if you're not picking up what I'm laying down, let me tell you, real estate is a lot like the Hunger Games. You have 10 agents that come into the arena at the beginning, and at the end of 5 years, only one is left standing. That's a failure rate of 90%. Well, according to NAR, let's be more accurate, it's actually 87%. And that's according to the National Association of Realtors. But why a failure rate so high? The reason this is so fun for me to do is because we're going to look at the 9 agents who unfortunately didn't make it after 5 years. And we're going to look at their systems, their strategies, their solutions, their behavior, their schedule, and find out what they didn't do right. And subsequently, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the one agent, the 1 out of 10 who actually beat the odds, defied the odds, and was successful in building a real estate career. We're going to look at their systems, their strategies, their solutions, their habits, their behaviors, and their schedule. Why? Because if you're watching this video, chances are you're about to get your real estate license, or maybe you just got your real estate license, or heck, maybe you've been in the business for 1, 2, 3, 5, or even 20 years, whatever the case may be. You're never too early to learn, and you're never too old to learn. So what I want to talk about is setting the system, strategy, solution, scheduling, and set you up for success. But first, why such a high failure rate? Why do so many agents drop out in the first year, and after 5 years an even higher percentage? Well, here's the main reason. Number one, the barrier for entry to come into the real estate industry is relatively low. In most states, it's going to vary from state to state, but the requirements as a baseline are to be 18 years old, to have a GED or equivalent, and have taken some online courses, passed some online courses, took the prerequisites so that you can sit for the state exam and pass the state exam. If you can complete those 3 or 3.5 things, then boom, you got a real estate license and you're ready to go practice real estate. Go you. And that's all. Here's the challenge. Just because one has a real estate license doesn't mean they know how to run a business of selling real estate. So many hats. You're an independent contractor who is the CEO of your own business. Yes, maybe you hang your license under a broker, assuming you're not a broker and you're a salesperson. Or if you are a broker, maybe you're a broker associate under another brokerage. So although you're under a company, you're still running your own business within a business. And what does that look like? Sometimes you're marketing, sometimes you're advertising, sometimes you're finance, sometimes you're customer service, sometimes you're human resources, sometimes you're sales. You are wearing so many hats throughout the day that without a proper schedule, without proper systems, you just become overwhelmed and stop. And that's what causes so many agents to fail, is not only the overwhelm, but coming into the industry without a clarity of purpose, without having a business plan, without having a structured business plan. In glancing over at my notes, many of the agents come into the industry with a lack of business plan and without a clear roadmap. See, success in real estate does not happen by accident. And in fact, quite the opposite is true. And when we talk about scheduling, I'm going to talk about how there is freedom in the discipline of having a schedule, but more importantly, following that schedule can ensure that you have a proper amount of closings on an ongoing basis. But without a defined goal, without a defined strategy, without a defined business plan to help you navigate these Hunger Games, this competitive landscape, agents just don't make it. The second thing is inadequate prospecting. Now, prospecting is any activity that we do that will generate us leads, aka potential business, either now or in the near future, or potentially down the road in the further future. Prospecting can include calling expireds for sale by owners, sitting open houses, doing a farm, doing door knocking, working with professional partners and getting a referral basis. Any lead generating activity would be considered prospecting. Most agents fail to recognize, most new agents that is, fail to recognize the amount of prospecting that is required on an ongoing basis in order to keep that pipeline of leads moving through. Because when we talk about conversion, which is something I'm not going to get in today, but we should definitely look at in regard to a business plan, is how many contacts does it take you to get an appointment? And how many appointments does it take you to get a contract? And how many contracts does it take you to get a closing? Most agents are blown away when I go through this exercise with them and realize, yeah, you need that many contacts in any given day. You need to speak to that many people that are interested in buying or selling real estate in the next 30, 60, or 90 days in order to move of contacts, leads, leads to contracts, contracts to closing. It is a journey, and it's a funnel. And you need to have a funnel open wide at the top. So for most agents, an inadequate amount of prospecting in the beginning is what ultimately leads to failure. The other item, number 3, is poor marketing strategies, relying too much on outdated methods. Marketing, branding, advertising, take that back. Not branding. I'm going to talk about branding in the future. Marketing, farming, things that cost too much money out the gate, because in the beginning, as a new agent, you have an abundance of time, most cases, but you don't have an abundance of money. As your career progresses, then typically you will have more money and you won't have an abundance of time. And that's when you can throw some dollars and cents after marketing and advertising. But in the very beginning, you can't rely on the heavy prospecting activities and marketing, such as mailers, such as bus benches and shopping carts, and getting your name out there with that sort of paid advertising. So what would a new agent do? How do I coach my new agents to really just take off in their first 30, 60, 90 days? Here's a little insight. Personal branding. I just completed a video on how to create a personal brand in real estate. I'm going to link it in the cards at the end of the video. Be sure to watch it. But personal branding is free. It costs you your time. It costs you your linguistics, your speaking ability, doing videos such as this, posting them on social media, and building trust with people that don't yet know you, but will know you through your content and will ultimately end up doing business with you. All that takes is a structured system and a commitment to actually get it done, and it doesn't cost you any money. I'm filming this right now on my phone. Number 4, failure to follow up. So we talked about prospecting and the lead generation activities, but lead generation is only one part of it. See, they say the money is in the follow-up, and that's absolutely true, because when you talk to a new lead, chances are you are not going to get an appointment, and definitely not going to get a contract in your first contact, second contact, third contact. It takes multiple attempts at contacting those leads to ultimately get that appointment, which is going to lead to the contract. And there's a study, and I'm not even going to attempt to quote it today because I don't know the actual numbers, but it talks about the percentage of fall off of people following up. So for example, if 10 people contacted a lead for their first attempt, by the second attempt, it drops down substantially. And then the third, fourth, and fifth attempt, it literally is like next to nobody is following up with that lead. I see this all the time with for sale by owners and expired leads. The minute they come on the market, all the sharks are circling. And they're hitting those leads right out the gate. Hey, I noticed you listed your property 123 Sesame Street as a for sale by owner. Did you know that there's a better, faster way and more cost-effective way to get your property sold? And so the for sale by owner is hearing that over and over and over, but as time diminishes, they don't hear it as frequently. How did I make a living? Here's a little nugget of truth. I used to call for sale by owners 2 weeks after them being in the process, after they've labored through their first 2 open houses, after they fielded a multitude of calls. I'd catch them 2 weeks after they listed because nobody's calling them and they're tired. They're waving the flag saying, yeah, I think I better hire somebody to come do this. So anyway, that's one nugget. We can have a whole other conversation on working with for sale by owners. But failure to follow up. So the necessity to follow up on an ongoing basis. The reason why most agents fail with this is from a lack of systems, not from a lack of trying. See, there's tons of software that will organize you in regard to how to do this. There's Real Geeks, there's KV Core, there's Sierra Interactive, there's Follow Up Boss. To a certain extent, there's Salesforce. There's various other platforms that you can use as a CRM, but a couple things with CRMs. If you're not putting forth the time, effort, and energy to use them, logging in and actually listening to the reminders, then they're useless. The best lead follow-up system is the system that you use. When I first started in the industry, I had a baby that was due in 6 months, and darn it, my kiddo needed to eat. I think I had like $70 in the bank account when I first started. So I had to hit the ground running. I had to generate as much revenue as quickly as possible. And the only way I was going to do that is to maximize my prospecting activity. So I took those 3x5 index cards, the white ones, the blue ones, and the yellow ones. And how I structured them was I had my 30-day leads, my 60-day leads, and my 90-day leads. And what I mean by 30, 60, 90-day leads is people that had indicated that they were going to buy or sell real estate in the next 30 days. People that were going to buy or sell real estate in the next 60 days. People that were going to buy or sell real estate in the next 90 days. And I would call my 30-day leads every single day. And we'd have a conversation about real estate. They didn't always pick up, but we'd have a conversation about real estate when they did pick up. My 60-day leads, people that were going to buy or sell real estate within 60 days, I would call them every 3 days or so. And my 90-day leads, those that were going to buy or sell real estate in the next 90 days, I would call them at least once a week. And as our conversations would become more condensed and their timeline would get closer, I would move them from the yellow card or the 90-day card or the 60-day card. I would start moving them to the 30-day card, and then they would hear from me more frequently. Follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. Ultimately, what happened in that short 6-month period of time before my son was born, I crammed what was about 7 or 8 escrows into escrow and ended up closing like 4 or 5 of them by the time he was born. Boom, mission accomplished. Same thing for you. So if you are at that place, it's not only the prospecting, it's the ability, the need, the desire, and the systems to allow you to follow up. Whether that's KV Core, Follow Up Boss, SkySlope, Salesforce, whatever it is, or note cards, or heck, a notepad. Just make the calls, follow up, have a system that keeps you on track. Last and not least, treating real estate as a hobby. So this one's kind of an interesting one because there are a fair amount of agents that treat real estate as a hobby. And I don't want to really say treat it as a hobby. That's really not fair. But maybe they have a primary occupation, something that pays the bills and they're doing on a regular basis. They're punching a clock, but there's a desire to go full-time into real estate. So there's this bridge from where one is at to where one wants to be. And in order to get to that point, there needs to be a fair amount of closings, there needs to be escrow, and there needs to be cash money, right? We need to be able to make a living at our newfound career opportunity so we can let go of our previous career opportunity. So it's not so much as treating it as a hobby as it is straddling the fence, right? Doing 2 things at once. The challenge with this is it's a very delicate dance. You have your full-time occupation on one side, and you literally, in order to survive and to be successful in real estate, it's not a part-time industry. It is a full-time industry. And in fact, for your first couple of years, is it a time and a half and double-time industry to plant those seeds and get yourself up to a place where you need to be. So unfortunately, a lot of agents who are doing both don't ultimately succeed. Now, that comes with a asterisk, if you will. I've seen a few agents do very well with this. They've used their network of their current role and their current job, and they leverage it into being licensed, and they generate leads, and they have enough time, free time off, to work real estate as well, and they're able to balance the two nicely. The challenge with that is requires some organizational skills, but you're certainly capable of it, but be aware of that going into it. So those are the habits of the 9 agents who ultimately don't succeed in real estate. But what about the habits of the 1 agent who does succeed? That 1 agent who just puts their head down, grinds, and gets the escrows and makes a 6-figure income in the first year, pays their appropriate amount of taxes and takes care of business on the financial front, budgets for those lean and times where there's no income coming in, and is able to weather the storm so that when it does rain escrows, that they're able to grow. What does their systems look like? Well, first thing you can guess, it's the inverse of what we just talked about. Number 1 is they develop a comprehensive business plan. This is an absolute must to have a comprehensive business plan. Set clear, achievable goals. Outline the strategies for lead generation, marketing, and client retention. What are the systems that one is going to follow to generate leads? And what are the activities that need to be done in order to generate those leads from those activities? And this leads us right into number 2, which is consistent prospecting, dedicating or deciding and determining what time of day, how many hours per day, how many hours per week, how many hours per month. Remember, I talked about the amount of leads leading to the amount of prospects leading to a certain amount of contracts, and those contracts leading to closing. Well, there is a trickle-down effect, and there needs to be a massive amount of time dedicated to generating those leads so that they can move through the waterfall. Also, creating a mixed martial artist approach to lead prospecting. For example, the hunting type mindset of door knocking, calling expireds, calling for sale by owners, and working on those type of active lead generations that are going to and could produce escrows as quickly as tomorrow if done right, or in 30 days or 2 weeks. Those type of activities are very aggressive and fast moving, but also planting seeds for the long run. The other card that I'm going to link in the video is a card on how to build a referral-based business by working with tax professionals and CPAs. I recorded that video earlier in the week, and it'll be linked here in the cards. But that's one of those things that's not going to produce immediate dividends, but down the road, it's going to produce exponentially larger amount of dividends than just calling on an expired. So you have your here and now, and then you have your future prospecting. You have to do a mixed martial artist of the two, a combined, a jeet kune do, if you will, of lead generation strategies. And ultimately, that's going to allow your pipeline to fill up leads from various sources, and then you can move these leads into prospecting. Effective marketing. I talked about what effective marketing looked like, and effective marketing is essentially leveraging and creating your brand. Now, what I mentioned in the video I did yesterday about creating a brand is buyers and sellers and consumers don't necessarily care what brokerage you work for. They care about you. Do they trust you? Do they like you? And do they think that you can get the job done of helping them buy a home or sell a home? That's really the question that they're asking themselves. So how do you convey that? Well, through social media, through your training, through your organic reach, through your training, through your knowledge base, through providing data and analytics, and just educating those on social media that haven't yet met you, but will ultimately do business with you because of the education you provide. Number 4, regular follow-up. I went into extensive dialogue on this about the note cards, and no matter what system you use, whether it's an online platform or note cards or a notepad, or I don't care if you write it on a whiteboard, whatever the case may be, have an effective follow-up system. And remember, the most effective follow-up system, the best follow-up system, is the system that you use. Okay. Number 5, time management and scheduling. This is a big one. In real estate, you are your own boss. You want to sleep until noon? Fine, go ahead. You want to not stroll into the office till 2? That's great. You don't want to make any calls? That's fine. You want to take a 3-hour margarita lunch? Go right ahead. You don't have anybody looking over your shoulder. You create your own schedule. So that is a blessing and a curse. The ability to work for yourself is amazing, but the ability to have it here and here, to be disciplined and set your own schedule so that you don't fall into the trap of thinking, I'll do it tomorrow. I can tell you that's the number one killer of real estate agents' careers, is just not being disciplined and having a schedule. In my next video that I'm going to do most likely tomorrow, and I'll link it in the comments below, is I'm going to show you what a top producer schedule is. Whenever I come in contact with a new client and we break down their schedule and they want to go from 0 to 100,000, 250,000, 500,000 a year in real estate, first thing we do is look at schedule. And I'm going to share with you the exact schedule that I use with top producers that I work with. And it's a proven formula, year in and year out, hand over hand, generates massive amounts of income and creates freedom and flexibility that creates and allows you to be balanced in your work-life balance. Next, continuing learning and adaptation. So not necessarily continuing learning. I mean, that's great. We should always be reading and listening to podcasts and watching videos such as this, and just feeding our mind and growing our business and looking at different angles on how we can evolve as real estate professionals. But at the end of the day, it's our adapt, to pivot, and to be flexible to changes in the industry. This last year has gone through a massive amount of changes in the industry, and there's probably a lot more changes to come. But there's always unforeseeable circumstances that are very unpredictable in the real estate landscape. Certain factors we can't control as real estate professionals, interest rates being one of them, inventory being another one. There's just a lot of factors that go into it. So the ability to pivot and adjust your business as there's changes in the market is literally a survival instinct that allows one real estate professional to survive where another real estate professional becomes extinct. I'll tell you one necessary survival tactic that I'm starting to see come on the scene, and some agents are resistant to it and some are embracing it, is artificial intelligence and the use of that in your business to make you more productive. And I can tell you that artificial intelligence is not going to replace real estate agents, but real estate agents that use artificial intelligence are going to replace real estate agents that do not use artificial intelligence. So at the end of the day, the ability to pivot and adjust and be flexible and constantly evolve your brand, your business, your offering, and your skill set is a survival instinct and a superpower unto itself. All right, team, with that said, this video went longer than expected, but hopefully you have received amazing value from it. You got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tips. 6, 7. You've got the tips on what it is that you should come out the gate strong with in order to survive your first year of real estate. Not only survive, but also thrive and get past that 5-year anniversary mark and be on smooth sailing from there on out. With that said, team, I want to thank you for your time. If you need any coaching, send me a direct message. If you just have a general question, send me a direct message. I'm certainly here to help. So you're powerful, believe in yourself, and get after it. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.